Gut. Gut.
I don't know, I saw nothing.
I really don't like this. I'm really disappointed. I have to say.
Hoffentlich.
Well, a very warm welcome to Cast Sports 3.0. I am your co-host, Alan Moore, and straight away we have Mr. Andrew Flint. He is on a train platform down in Yekaterinburg in the Urals. He's north of where there's lots of rain. Down south of the Urals, it's a lot of rain. Trust me, down Orenburg and Kursk and Kurgan is dreadful. So, of course, we do know that Liverpool, they lost today. They lost 1-0. That is it.
They did? Oh, fantastic. I'm finding out the result live on air. Fantastic.
There we go. So, of course,
that's
they
why I love
lost
the show
today. That is 1-0 down. Of course, exactly. And look, tomorrow it's a huge day for Liverpool. Of course, the 15th of April in 1989. Of course, was the Hillsborough tragedy, the Hillsborough disaster, the Hillsborough crime that was committed against football. 97 people go to watch a game of football. They don't come home. The families are fighting. No one has been held to account. Duckenfield, the head policeman, he has escaped over and over again. So there we go. So again, our thoughts and prayers with the people of Liverpool, not for the loss today. There'll be more games. Club will go, but there'll be better people in, or as good people in. But for the people who have suffered, who kissed their loved ones going out the door and never saw them come back, that is a horrible situation. Andrew, we're going to start off right away with one interesting moment. I think you'll like this. This, of course, is running. So we're going to start and end with athletics. You love running, of course. Running your 10K a day all the way from Siberia to the UK. But this is one that happened today, the Beijing Half Marathon, won by He Ji, who, of course, is the marathon record holder in China. But this is a little bit strange. Watch, and I'll explain afterwards, but you can explain first.
是的。差不多1小时4分左右的水平，
还有最后的一段路，终点就在前方，何洁加油！
是的。我们看4个人很有默契呀，
对，在今天的这个全程当中，这4个人都是一直保持在一起。
是的，而且有沟通，有交流。
这样是不是也是选手之间的一种相互促进？
是的，我们说积极的一种促进。
哇，越跑越快啊！何洁在最后是完全冲刺了起来。我们来看看他最后的成绩啊！
恭喜何洁获得了我们冠军啊！
他最终的成绩应该是1小时03分。
Now, as I said, that is China's number one, He Ji. He won the Beijing Half Marathon. He did in a fairly decent time, 1 hour and 3 minutes. He, of course, 3 weeks ago now, he set the Chinese marathon record in Wuxi, where he came home in 2 hours and 6 minutes. He's an Asian Games gold medalist. He is, he's going to the Olympics. He's one of their top runners. But he's running along there with 2 Kenyans and an Ethiopian. Andrew, explain, please.
Yeah, I think the hand movements sort of say it all. The hand movements could have been signifying almost anything there. They could have been saying, wait, hold on, this is not the route we want to take. We need to leave it free for the Chinese runner, or hold back, wait, you know the deal. We've got to make sure the home favourite wins. I mean, those times you mentioned, it's like any time, Alan, when we discuss, let's just say, slightly unfair advantages in sport, you've still got to be absolutely sensational to be even anywhere near it to actually take advantage of the whatever version of marginal gains or max switching, whatever it may be. There's no way anybody looks at that and is not suspicious. When you're at the end of a run, especially when you're neck and neck with someone else, you do not think of anything else. You do not move your hand in any way other than just to give yourself a little extra boost. So It's extraordinary. And if you look at the the other three runners, they don't look unduly stressed or straining. I mean, look, I mean, it seems like it's an easy target because you've got the Chinese runner in the home race. Well, that's an easy target to say. It's not exactly the cleanest win, but just look at the hand movements. No runner does that. Absolutely none. You're merciless. You do not have any brotherhood at the end unless someone's tripped up or there's an accident has knocked into him. It doesn't matter. The minute after the race finishes, I'm 100%. There's an instant camaraderie. Not in the last few hundred meters of an extremely good time for all four of them. It's not a good look.
It's not a good look. One thing to say, Andrew, is that let's just say something that could maybe explain it is that he was actually looking to set the Chinese half marathon, the record. So he was looking to run that. I think it was 102.40 something or 103 something. I think it was just like 103. So I think he was going for that. Okay, they could have been match fixing. It could have been something that he was being helped to the end line. Also, that we do know that these guys are brought in as pacemakers. Remember when the world marathon record was set, the breaking 2-hour barrier, when there were sets of pacemakers leading out the runner. That happens in athletics. That happens in cycling, where basically a cyclist will say, okay, look, you take this one, we'll let you go, and we'll get the next one, or you get paid more, and so on. It's endemic. It's what it does. So a guy who's looking for a new contract in a cycling team, he will basically say, look, let me win this stage, and I'll pay for dinner tonight, or I'll give you like my prize money, the whole lot. And guys will do it because basically, money's money, and also that like you scratch their back and they'll scratch your back a little bit later. But again, it's very, 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 very strange. This guy go to Olympics. It's not a good look for athletics, though, Andrew.
Well, you see, that's exactly the point. The sort of agreed results. I've witnessed it so many times here with the home team getting a favourable result, literally directly traded. So in a way, it's clean in the sense that, well, no money has changed hands, but a simple, gentleman's agreement. And in a way, I can understand that. There is a sporting sort of justification for it, but it's about the look. I mean, if you're going to do that, which is understandable, I understand that, and the going for the Chinese record, that is a genuine, to be fair, that is something I would consider if I was neck and neck, if I knew about it and it was very obvious, and I'm sure it would have been made a big deal of. The look, the way you do it, just make half an effort not to wave your hand out there like that. At least just put on a little bit of a fake extra effort and like you really are straining for it. Even if people sort of understand. The image, this is the other side of it. The people who were involved in that may have known about that and may have fully accepted it. But the clip is what gets shared and shown and seen all around the world, and people won't bother to even look at it. They won't even bother to look at the background for it. And you can understand why. And even after if this is the case, that it was a full agreement, it's still only half of the justification for it. So
yes.
Just wise up, basically. That wouldn't hurt, just to not wave your hands in a fairly extraordinary manner.
No. Now, next one, how do we start with this one? This is one we pegged up that we put our finger on a long time ago. We explained why here on Capital Sports. No one else has really gone into it. Everyone else has kind of like talked around it, but we pointed out the whys, wherefores, and the reasons. This, of course, is Simona Halep. She got off basically scot-free, straight back into tennis fraternity. Even the girl who was saying, I'm not going to play her because she was doping and she had been accused of doping. No. She was quite happy then to have a cloud over, but then go back in because, of course, she's clean. And, of course, there are people who believe she's clean. And she could have gotten all the way to the top on her own, talent and looks and ability. But there are questions to be asked. And, of course, with Patrick Mouratoglou, he's 100% dirty. We know that. We've proven it. And especially what happened after she collapsed at the French Open, after she started working with him. This is her recent, let's just say, fluffery from a tennis journalist. Happens quite often to her. Happens quite often to tennis players, all these fanboys and fangirls with laptops. This is Simona Halep saying that she's clear, she's clean, she's clear of all these doping accusations.
okay, now everything is nice and I'm cleared. I didn't do anything wrong. So I proved the truth, the reality. So this makes me feel really good. But still what I went through is not easy. So I cannot forget like this just because I got cleared. There is a baggage that probably will stay longer. And I cannot forget like one day after the other, just what happened. So I have to handle better. I have to control my emotions coming back. So there is a package that is not easy, but the joy I hope will help me.
Look, Simona can say what she wants. She didn't clear her name. She got away in CAS, which is different. This is the same as, of course, O.J. Simpson, who passed away this past week. He was found not guilty in the court of law because of, that it had to be 100%. It couldn't be like, there could be no, well, maybe of this, it had to be 100% or nothing. However, in a civil court, of course, is a lower bar, and the same thing. That's same with CAS. The more money you have, the more money you throw at the case, the better result will be. And of course, she got off scot-free. Now, remember, this is a girl or a woman. Sorry, girl. That's rude. This is a woman who, when she was younger, and I met her when she was playing in Europe. She played one of my players. This is a woman who cut her breasts off, who reduced her breast size to win because they were bothered, and she was dead right to what she was doing. That's what she's most famous for initially. But so she is going to do anything to win, and now we're to believe that she was clear. Andrew, how much longer do we have to just accept this kind of nonsense from players, even if she is clean, just to say, look, this happened. Yeah, it was in my system, but give me a break.
I find myself increasingly having slightly larger slivers of sympathy for sports people in her position who basically, let's not beat around the bush, got caught out. Simply because I just find it depressingly more and more apparent that you simply cannot come out on top on pure talent alone, because we know full well the number of gains that people look to get, legitimate and illegitimate, and let's be honest, increasingly illegitimately, whether it is doping, whether it's EPO, blood transfusions, whatever the hell it is. The temptation, and I almost don't like using that word, because temptation suggests a strength of character would say no to it. The frustration at not being able to have a level playing field must be so great that it does come into a sporting ethical side of it. I deserve to have a chance, and if this is the only way, then I'm going to take the advantage that I can. What I don't have sympathy with her for is I don't know how to word this correctly without it coming off really, really snobbishly from someone who is not at an elite level of sport. But it's like you mentioned, like you alluded to there, I've been clear. There's a big difference between not being proven guilty and categorically being proven completely innocent of all possible guilt. And it comes down to whatever the ruling is legally, they're ignoring the full disclosure of how much knowledge they really did have, how much effort did they really make to be 100% clear about what they were doing, what substances they may or may not have been taking. And I actually think this could have been an opportunity, and I don't want to pin it all on her, because obviously she is one of millions of sports people around the world in change the name, change the sport, it's the same situation. If people were a bit more honest and say, look, okay, I got caught out, I did make a mistake, and it's not an example I should set. I don't want young sports people to look at me and think, oh, she got away with it, so maybe I could. If she was a bit more open about it and said, look, unfortunately this is the state of sport nowadays, but look at what I lost. Look at the time out, the reputation that was damaged. That was the risk I took, and I wouldn't do it again. I think she would come away with it actually net positive. But then again, it's easy for us sitting here to say that we're not the ones in that position where she probably has a lot to lose from sponsorship, from favouritism with her favourite journalists. I mean, that all plays into it.
That's it. Andrew, this is the whole thing. People have said to me before, well, why don't you just come clean? You can't come clean. Look what happened with Lance Armstrong. The only reason Lance Armstrong was brought down, we've said it before, and was caught, was because money. That was all. It was because a guy who had an assurance guy who was paying the money for his prizes, suddenly went, hold on, he's telling lies. And the fact that Lance turned around in front of a deposition that he was demanding his payment of his money, and he turned around and said, oh, I never did that. No, so this guy went, I'm after paying him, I think it was $5 million. I'm going to go after it because to these people, well, it was, Dustin Hoffman, who was playing him in the movie, he wants the money back. Same with Simona. She cannot say, look, I tried this stuff. I shouldn't have done it. I did it once in my career. Because if she says she did it once, again, Andrew, these people they're there to talk for a reason. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about anybody else. They don't care about their legacy. Their legacy is clean because they're being protected. Paul Pogba was done because he was no longer needed. Simple as that. I know you get on the train on, so we'll move very quickly on with the next one so we can get through this. And this, of course, is one that happened in the Paris-Roubaix. Didn't stop this guy from winning. Just watch what happens, and now this woman is being charged.
Like a spectator throwing something onto the road there into his bike. We don't want to see that. We want to see.
So Mathieu van der Poel going for it in the Paris-Roubaix. Of course, he won it. It's one of the toughest races in the cycling calendar. A woman threw a baseball cap trying to knock him down. Andrew, we've seen people run on. We've seen them in cycling. We saw a cycling a couple of years ago when someone leaned out to take a picture and then got smacked, or all these things. But to try and do that, how sick must that person be to try and, because those guys are going at speed. She won't just take him down. She'll take 10 or 1,200 people, which could have been fatal at that speed that they're going at, Andrew.
It is just beggars belief. It absolutely beggars belief. All people there. Well, I say no, take that back. The vast majority of people who make the effort to come and watch major sport, they want to see sport. They could be endangered. This, like you say, it's not just the speed; it's the concentration on one job, which is the cycling part of it. Cyclists cannot be tasked with looking around, with looking around at what's going on at the side of the road. They've got to focus on the road ahead, the cyclist in front of them. They can't pay attention to everything around. And it's one of those. Cycling is one of the sports that terrifies me watching it, because you literally cannot police it. The nature of a cycling course, how long it is, you simply cannot put barriers with security the entire length of the cycling race. So that is why cycling, I think, is just potentially the most dangerous sport there is, because the speed they go at and the nature of it, you cannot guarantee the security and safety of it. These people, what the hell are they doing? That wasn't even for a social media, follow, I'm one of those Instagram accounts that, creates ruckuses in public for followers and likes. You can't even see who it is. So it is purely malicious. That's the thing. It's not like somebody jumped out into the middle of the race, perhaps was waving a flag, had a political statement to make. Not that justifies it, but at least you can understand the warped logic. You can't even understand the logic there. That's just pure idiocy, lunacy, and if I hope they can find whoever does this sort of thing. They should be given a serious punishment. I would consider jail time, because it is potentially so dangerous. It's effectively assault of a kind, or attempted assault, whatever the legal term is. Madness.
Yeah, exactly. Agree, Andrew. And I mean, the woman now, she has been, they know who she is, they're going after her, but it is a kind of a horrible situation. I mean, Mathieu van der Poel, cyclocross legend. I mean, 6 times world champion. He's now the world champion on the road. He has never done very, very well in the big tour races. I mean, he's only finished top 60 in the Giro, and I think he finished top 60 last year in the Tour de France as well, I can't remember. But he's a great one-day rider, a great short tour rider. He's what they call a puncher, so he goes like, short of the climbs, he goes at them, but he's not a great long stage race like a tour, like, he's never ridden the Vuelta, I think it is, the Spanish race. But again, for me, it was shocking to see that. And I mean, this is what we go back again, we spoke about last week. The situation with Israel, for example. We saw what happened last night, Iran attacking Israel. Tension so high coming to the Olympics. Stuff is so bad in the Olympics, so badly set up in the Olympics. We know how bad it is in the Olympics and in Paris, and how the security is a mess. This is my fear for, for example, Belarusian athletes and for Israeli athletes. And this will come back again because we see this happen on a major sporting event in the European sporting the calendar, and this happens. So again, for me, it's terrifying. I agree with you fully, Andrew. It's just so dangerous, has to be dealt with. Very last one before you fly off into the night, fly off east. This is one, again, you'll like this, from Jennifer Say, someone who's been on our shows before. So this is a very interesting one. You'll just have to watch it and see what happens after the race.
Wilhelmina, Jaden Vanderveen. In 7 for Bergen Episcopal, Abby Wilson. Out very well is Gallagher, McDaniel in lane 2. You're going to see Gallagher later on in the relays. Great knees, great drive. Gallagher, the victory here in section number 1. 25:49. Second and Wilson in 30:77.
A boy who identifies as a girl winning a girls' 200-meter race by a good 7-8 seconds in America. Andrew, America is the last country now in the world, realistically, who are going along with this, who are promoting this. Europe, UK has said no more. They've seen the dangers, for example, of transitioning young children. Ireland is starting to go, well, we're not sure about this. Europe as well, all over. We know in Russia that it's basically, there are cases, medical cases, where it's been proven that young people have transitioned, either male, female, female, male. But this now is becoming standard in America. Andrew, is this where sports is going to go? Is this where you can maybe win an Olympic medal in the women's road race?
Not one person can tell me that, and a number of those examples, Ashley mentioned a lot of them in American sports. Nobody can look at that and honestly tell me that is sport. There's a massive, massive difference and a complete lack of understanding between what is inclusion, what is sport, and how do the two meet in the middle. Because they should meet in the middle, because that is what sport is. It should include, it should give everybody something, whether it's pleasure, whether it's success, whether it's world fame, it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of sport. But you take away the beauty of sport when you change it into something else, which is an exercise for promoting somebody's system of what society should be. It's madness. Now, the other side of that is, well, what is the answer? And honestly, I'm not sitting on the fence here. I don't know, because you can't simply say, okay, if you are a boy who identifies as a girl, then you can't compete in female sport. You can't also allow it to happen like this. So what is the answer? Do you set up not just female and male sports, but transition sports? And then the question is, well, what form of transition, what stage of transition are we talking? How do you measure it? Do we end up having a whole spectrum of genders within sports, as in the competition parameters? It just becomes a very, very hard thing to decide, because every society, as you pointed out, has different understandings and approaches. It's not going to be a globally accepted system. I mean, I've heard some arguments of there is measurements of levels of testosterone and exactly what stage of transition there is at make one separate category to male and female sport. The bottom line is this: there needs to be a discussion about it, and I am certainly not the person who can end up deciding or understanding what the final answer is. But without a discussion about it, it's never going to be sorted out, because one country will say, we've got it right, we're including people. But, well, you're also endangering people. I mean, literally endangering their health. That's before you get to the sporting integrity side of things. So, Alan, I don't know. I despair at where we're heading. But the one thing that frustrates me no end about all of this is that example. Just simply the words I identify as is very different to what your biological gender is. I'm not being a Philistine here. It's just that it is a different concept. I'm not saying either are wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't allow anybody to identify as whatever they want. But the point is, that's one thing. That's not the same thing as actual biological gender, simply because it means a massive difference within sport. How hard is that to understand? Or at least to make sure that is the starting point of a discussion, at the very least.
Well, this basic thing of it is like there should be discussions, there should be something on this, but there's not. And for me, I don't quite get why people are afraid of discussing it. Because realistically, if we look at it realistically, this race, of course, in Oregon, in the Sherwood Need for Speed, Aidan Gallagher has not won every single race that, and I would say she has competed in. And again, this is a very difficult situation, because Gallagher flies away from everybody, wins 200 meters. It's a trans-identified, someone who identifies as a girl. It's not someone who has transitioned. It's not someone who has, again, changed, had the operation, like the testicles removed and all that sort of thing, and then gone through a number of years. This is someone who's still in the process, who still is a boy. So again, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I think in America, there's such fear. People like Jennifer said, there's a lot of people who've spoken out against it, who are good athletes who really want to protect. There's a lot of men who speak out about it as well. But again, us just speaking about it here could get us cancelled, could get us banned. But I think we have to just speak about it, because you have daughters, I have a daughter. We have to say, hold on, is this right? Like, is it? But again, ultimately, it's not women who are going to have to fight for it. There'll be screaming lunatics who go, oh, you can't hear this. No, hold on. Have a discussion about it. If you discuss it, if women say, yeah, what the hell, doesn't matter, great, go for it. But it does need to be discussed. It needs some sort. Andrew, on that note, final question for you. Eric Ten Hag, he'll be gone in summer?
I've tried my best to hold out hope, but the man has been there almost 2 years, and he clearly does not have a plan B. He's stubborn beyond belief, and there's a good side to being stubborn if you can actually show results. But in the end, I mean, 2 years, maybe that is short in some ways. So Alex Ferguson had 5 years before he was able to just about save his neck in the FA Cup, and thank God he did. But the problem with him is he goes on and on about injuries hurting him. Every single club in the entire Premier League has had a serious injury problem. I've never known a Premier League season like it. So many injuries at so many clubs. It's not like Manchester United's reserves and squad are that poor. They should be able to do something differently. So the fact he has no plan B, or he's just too stubborn to use a plan B, it worries me. Yes, he's brought through youth. He has promoted Amari Force into first team squad. Kobbie Mainoo, of course, is a sensational talent, and he deserves credit for that. But I'm at the stage where I'm thinking that is. It sounds a bit harsh and cynical, but he's done that almost as an excuse in case, well, look what I have done to save his neck. And the other side, of course, is Ineos taking over the sporting direction of the club. They're not going to want a losing reputation to kick off. They're going to want to put their stamp on it, and quite rightly, because if you think about it, the structure they put in on top with Berardi from Manchester City and Jason Wilcox coming over to take over the academy, Dan Asher as the sporting director, what's the point in changing that entire structure, getting great people in, and not letting them choose the one key person who can change things on the pitch? So, short answer, he has to go.
Okay, well, we'll be waiting for Big Sam's call. Okay, Andrew, safe travel back to you, man. Have a good night. Take care. Talk to you next week.
See you, Ross.
Okay, and on that note, we will say goodnight for now. And of course, we'll be back next week. We have a very special space coming up as well on Twitter, on X. So you can be ready for that. We'll put it up on myself, but Andrew will put it out as well. And we'll mention it during the week as well on a very, very short YouTube. We'll have Isla Cody back very, very soon as well. And 2 special guests this week that you will enjoy immensely. So until next week, take care of yourselves and each other.